All right, we are just getting started from the Monona Terrace Convention Center cage side, along with Chris Garrity and Gerald Mearshart. I am Rich Reynolds, and looking forward to Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14. We start with a fight at 170 pounds. Steve Rodriguez making his way into the cage, comes in with a record of 3-3. His opponent tonight is going to be Trevin Larson, as we are just getting set. The first of 13 fights. Originally 15 fights were scheduled. 2 of them had to be scratched. Hey man, you got to make weight. You don't want to lose the fight on the scale, and that happened a couple of times yesterday. Rodriguez and Larson, that's your Carbon World Health tale of the tape. That's Steve Rodriguez. Now, let's take a look at Trevin Larson. You know, you only get to make your cage debut once. Just once. It's something that you are always going to remember, and that moment is happening right now for Trevin Larson. Larson from Mankato, Minnesota. Hey, great day to be a Mustang. The Cato Kid is his name, and he is approaching the cage again for his MMA debut as we kick off Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14. Larson Rodriguez. That is up right after a final look at the Carbon World Health tale of the tape. Let's go up to the cage right now, and Mr. Chris Garrity with the introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first bout of the evening is an amateur welterweight contest scheduled for 3 rounds. Introducing first, this man fighting out of the Coliseum Bar, red corner. He weighed in at 169 ready pounds. He represents Highland Fight Systems. He hails from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. In 6 amateur bouts, he has 3 victories. Stern Steve Rodriguez. His opponent, this man fighting out of the Harley-Davidson of Madison, blue corner. He represents MSU Mankato Mixed Martial Arts and hails from Little Falls, Minnesota. He is making his amateur cage debut right here for the Chosen Few Fighting Championships. He weighed in at 171 pounds, the Cato Kid, Trevin Larson.
Chris Garrity pushing his voice a little bit tonight, coming in with a bit of a weaker voice. That is something very odd for him as he makes his way cage side, and we are ready to go with Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14, Rodriguez and Larson. And again, Larson making his cage debut. Big crowd still filing into the Monona Terrace here tonight. Usually a packed house. This should be no difference here tonight. We're actually seeing these fights happen on Cinco de Mayo on a gorgeous night in southern Wisconsin. And so a lot of competition out there besides coming to the fights. Hey, you can barbecue, you can grill out, you can go out on the lake. Lots of things to do here in Madison tonight. But none better than this, and none better than the flurry right now from Steve Rodriguez.
Right now it looks like Steve Rodriguez is trying to get a choke locked in and gives up a big slam to Larson. Larson needs to establish side control. Right now he's going to half guard. He's got to look to get his hips down, get his head up, and make some space to land some ground and pound here and really try to get ahead on the scorecards, as they were pretty even standing on the feet in the opening of the round.
And good power from Trevin Larson right there to pick him up and drop him like that. Really get out of a position that he was in a lot of trouble in for a second there.
Used his strength to accomplish that. And Gerald, you know, talking about the fact this is his debut in the cage. Do you remember yours now that you got 35 professional title fights out of the way?
Oh, I still remember like it was yesterday. It didn't look quite this good, but but I remember it. Chris was there. He saw the whole thing.
Yeah. And you remember it too? You've seen a lot of fights, Chris.
You should have seen how skinny this kid was when he first started too.
Good stuff. Good stuff happening in the cage right now, especially for Larson. He has been on top now for the better part of a minute and going to work again on Steve Rodriguez. Rodriguez taking a good punch to the side of the face, blocks another one coming down from Larson.
Yeah, Larson doing a real good job staying heavy on top. He's posturing up and pushing his hips in towards his opponent to keep him down. Now he's got kind of a modified cradle position locked in. He's trying to flatten Steve Rodriguez out again to land some more strikes. And Steve Rodriguez doing all he can to get a hold of a leg and try and work his way back up.
I've always had a love-hate relationship with amateur MMA, but one thing that has surprised me so far, well, up until now with Rodriguez in the dominant position, was how a debut fighter was able to dominate for the first half of the round, and now here's where maybe the 6 bouts that Rodriguez has been in is going to show his experience a little bit, or not.
Yeah, Rodriguez taking an elbow to the face. There is blood on his face. I believe it is coming out of the face of Rodriguez. It's now ending up on the left arm and the back side of Trevin Larson.
So that's twice we've seen Rodriguez on the bottom really do a great job getting to the legs and coming up almost like a wrestling come up to finish a takedown. Now what he needs to do is what he did similar to right there, is establish control on top and not give it up.
Larson makes it through his first round of his debut. We'll come back and see round number 2 right after this. It's Chosen Few Fighting Championships 14 on 57 Sports. Taking a look at some of the replays there. Good high kick there from Rodriguez early on, but like you guys were kind of surprised by Trevin Larson and what he was able to accomplish in round number 1.
Well, on my scorecard, Rich, I am giving Larson this first round just because he did spend the majority of it in a dominant position and he did the most damage, which you can see on Rodriguez's face.
Round 2 now, Larson starting around his mouth a little bit open as, again, I think the heart kind of races in your debut and you really are going to have a check on your conditioning. First round out of the way, and it starts with a left kick to the lower body by Rodriguez. Left hook by Larson. He tried a couple of those. Good hammer punch there by Rodriguez. Connected and moved Larson back. Now a good kick to the midsection, and it's Rodriguez scoring as a striker here in round number 2.
So someone with Larson's range needs to be using long, straight strikes to keep that distance where he has an advantage. And now we see him shooting in. Didn't really look too comfortable on the feet. Nice little scramble there. He still got a hold of a leg, and it looks like Steve Rodriguez is really selling out to get this submission here. He's got to be careful not to give up that top position to Larson again and get right down on. But now it looks like he's very close to locking up an armbar.
Larson looking to get out of this jam right here as he's in a bit of trouble, but he got away from it now and now is back into a dominant position.
Extremely impressed by Trevin Larson right now. That was a pretty good job by Rodriguez to keep hold of the arm as long as he did, and actually almost got to the extension point, but the strength of Trevin Larson still in the second round, especially after you get that initial debut, adrenaline dump, that was pretty impressive getting out of that armbar.
One of the things that we usually don't see from the amateurs that we'll see later on from the professionals is good defensive work, and that was actually a nice job by Larson getting out of some early trouble here in round number 2. Larson continues to be in the dominant position. This crowd still filing into the Monona Terrace. They will be in full throat a little bit later on. A lot of local fighters at the top of the card. We're also going to see Dante Sciro defend his amateur title at 170 pounds.
And so now we're back in this position. It seems to be the story of the fight so far, is Steve Rodriguez coming in early and then ultimately giving up a position while trying to secure a submission and allowing a taller fighter in Larson to posture up and just kind of control him and land strikes on the ground. And this is ultimately what's losing him the fight right now. He needs to stay on top once he gets those good positions and not necessarily sell out for the finish.
Couple of good shots from Larson, but almost got caught in an armbar. And there, what's kind of surprising, too, this is the 7th amateur fight for Steve Rodriguez, but actually the more accomplished fighter right now looks to be Trevin Larson.
Well, on the ground for sure. One thing Gerald was starting to talk about before the fight went to the ground was actually how amateur Larson does look on the feet, which he does. Pawing his hands out there, leaning forward. His chin was hanging wide open. Gerald was about to say he should be staying back, throwing the straights, because he has more length on a fighter like Rodriguez. He can keep him at bay by throwing a lot of jabs and making sure that Rodriguez isn't going to be able to throw any power punches. But smart enough to know he's not going to be better on the feet and got it right to the ground and took round 2.
Good action there in round number 2. Once again, Trevin Larson, impressive. We'll see if this one goes the distance. Third and final round next here on 57 Sports. Second round action on display. You see a big right hand there from Steve Rodriguez, another kick as well. But there it is, Trevin Larson being able to shoot the leg pretty easily. Once he got on the ground, he was able to score points and take this second round. Good shots there, blood coming from the face of Rodriguez, and we are set for the third and final round right here. And we'll see if Rodriguez has something up his sleeve for the inexperienced Trevin Larson.
If I'm in Steve Rodriguez's corner right now, I'm telling him to keep his distance on the feet, try to land those kicks, and really try to put something together where it seems Larson's uncomfortable. And then if it does go to the ground, like I've been saying the whole fight, stay on top. Don't worry about the submission. Really make him open up from damage and then worry about securing the victory.
It seems like Rodriguez has been able to score with kicks both to the lower body and to the midsection, but has struggled to defend Larson's ability to shoot the leg and then get into a dominant position, which again he was almost able to do there, but now it is Rodriguez that's got Larson in a bit of trouble.
He's in a lot of trouble right here. He's still scrambling, doing a good job. No, now it looks like he's just about out of it. And there was another perfect example. Rodriguez had the shot all but stuffed and then decided to go jump guard for that choke and ultimately ended up giving position. A good armbar set up here, just can't quite secure it. Larson's got the elbow out now. He's pretty much out of danger, and there it goes. Just a matter of time before he's back on top. Larson here is ill in danger of a triangle, but just staying on top, staying dominant, and it looks like he's going to ride out the rest of this round to his debut victory.
Larson has almost walked into an armbar a few times here in this fight. Now back in a dominant position once again. He's been in trouble, but he's been able to survive and score in what has been an impressive debut so far. Takes a look at the screen, probably checking the time. We are halfway through the third round, Mr. Larson, so pay attention to your opponent. A lot of time left in this cage.
He doesn't seem to be worried at all about the submissions from Rodriguez, which is crazy considering that Rodriguez has almost locked an armbar up on him twice. But I think the strength difference he feels being on top is what's, I guess, giving him the confidence to really leave his arms straight while he's postured up, but also look up at the screen and not worry about too much what Rodriguez's hips are doing.
We saw in Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 13 how looking at the screen can cost you. It cost Brody Joseph in his debut. We don't want to see that same mistake here for Larson. Larson, by the way, landed a good right while we were talking as well as he continues to tally up points here. Final 35 seconds of round number 3.
One thing I've been very impressed with this whole fight by Larson is not giving up on the submission escapes. He never settles in one position until he's completely out, and that's one thing you don't see in a lot of amateurs. They might kind of concede the submission, but never giving up and always finding a way to get out, always keep it moving. I really like that out of Larson.
Good, strong punches to the side of the face of Steve Rodriguez. He looks none the worse for wear. In fact, actually, he looks the worse for wear right now, and he's getting some again from Trevin Larson. Larson with some blows to finish up his first ever amateur fight, and what very possibly is his first victory. We will go to the judges right after this and get the decision from Chris Garrity on 57 Sports. Action from round number 3 as you take a look at a defeated Steve Rodriguez. At least we think he is, and it's because he suffered a lot of damage from one Trevin Larson. Larson using his strength at several times, Gerald, to escape from some pretty serious holds by Rodriguez.
Right, and here we see really the story of the fight. Rodriguez getting the initial stuff, and then Larson getting it to the mat, defending those submissions and landing strikes from the top.
That right there, almost an armbar as well, but it is Larson who's able to break free and then get some damage in, as we are still waiting the official decision right now. It's a good shot, though, of all of the replays there from our third and final round. So a little bit of a delay here as they're getting the word from the judges. Our judges here tonight, by the way, that are sitting cage side, we got Anthony Zamatalo, Melody Wickers, and Gabriel Sabatis, all sitting cage side. And I think that the decision just about ready. I see Matt Murphy over there talking with Chris. And still waiting on the decision. All right, then. Well, if nothing else, we get to look at the crowd here tonight, still filing in to the Monona Terrace, and check everybody out as Chris now has a decision, has a mic in hand, and he's just about set to head on up to the cage and give us the word. I'm still hoping that his voice lasts the night.
You and me both, Rich. You and me both.
All right, here we go. Chris is ready with the decision.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of welterweight action, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judge Sabatis and Judge Zamatalo score the bout 30-27, while Judge Wickers has it 30-26, all in favor of your winner by unanimous decision. And fighting out of the blue corner, Trevin Larson.
Well, it was a long time coming, but pretty much the decision that we thought. He pitched a shutout on 2 judges' scorecards, won 2 out of 3 on the other one, and Trevin Larson wins his debut here at Chosen Few Fighting Championships number 14. All right, second fight coming up. We'll be still at 170 pounds as Rudy Hernandez Martinez takes on William Kemp. That's next here on 57 Sports.